I hope everyone can spin virtual machine automatically with Vagrant. If you can launch virtual machines, Linux virtual machines, we already did what we did in the previous class, then we can start learning now Linux. Hello. Yeah, okay. So let's continue. Let me mute everyone. Okay. So first, let's understand about Linux. You know, some people are, so many people actually who are confused about Linux, CentOS, Ubuntu. I know Linux for some people means just Red Hat Linux. CentOS, they think that's a different operating system, or Ubuntu, they think it's a different operating system. Actually, there are very less operating system in the world, just two, three actually, just three. Okay, and all the other operating systems are based on that only. So we have Windows operating system, we have Unix operating system, and we have Linux operating system. Okay, these are three main what we see in general life, these operating systems. So you see different operating systems. So why mostly Linux? There are a lot of flavors of Linux operating system. So whenever Linux comes to my mind, the first thing that comes to my mind is open source. So you know what's open source? So if I ask this question generally, well, anyways, you're seeing the answer. But if I ask this question generally, people say it's a free software. Well, open source doesn't mean free. Open source means the source code of the software is freely available. The source code means the code written to create that software. That's freely available. Now, if I ask you, do you know the code for MS Word, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office Suite? The code that was written for it. No. So developer write the code, they build it and create the software. Let's say MS Office Suite. Now Microsoft will sell the software, Microsoft Office Suite, but it will never disclose the code written to create that software. On the other hand, open source software, open source operating system, where they release the source code, the code written for to create the software also freely. Like there was this guy, Linus Torvald, not was, he is still there, and he looks quite young actually till now. So he took the Unix operating system kernel. So previously we had Unix operating system long time, and he has written a kernel. Kernel is the heart of the operating system, and that kernel was exactly similar to Unix kernel, and he released that kernel with open source license. With open source license, if you release any source code, this source code is available for everyone. Anyone in the world can download it, change it, and make the software as per their need, create the software as per their need, and can redistribute also. So actually, the reason why we are all sitting in this class, or we're having this class, is because of open source. Like Linus Torvald created this Linux kernel, and he released it. Now there are so many communities and organizations and companies who used that source code, Linux source code, the kernel source code, and created and added their own softwares into it, like their own graphical interface, GUI, their own tools, their own softwares, and they created their own operating systems. Like for example, Canonical created Ubuntu operating system. Now Ubuntu is a Linux operating system. Same way Red Hat created Red Hat Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Red Hat CentOS, Fedora Linux. Red Hat has also a lot of operating system. So all these, then there are other companies also, other organization, other communities who took that kernel, added their own utilities, and created a complete operating system. So there's one question that people ask in Linux interviews: what is the difference between Linux and Unix? When we use the word just Linux, that means the Linux kernel, just the kernel, whereas Unix is a complete operating system. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux or CentOS Linux is the operating system. But if I just say Linux, that means just the Linux kernel. So that's the difference. Now, even you can download the Linux kernel and you can code and you can create your own operating system and you can give your name. Okay, there are lots and lots of Linux operating system. List of Linux OS. Let's go to wiki. So there you go. So the RPM based, CentOS RHEL based, Fedora based, OpenSUSE based, apt RPM, SID based, testing based. Okay, and Ubuntu, there are so many, you see, Edubuntu, Kubuntu, Lubuntu. Yeah, that sounds funny. I know, Subuntu, and on and on and on and on. You see, that many Linux operating system, and there could be more. Who knows? People don't release sometimes. How many Windows operating system you have? Like you can count it on the finger, right? Well, the reason is Windows operating system is completely controlled by the organization Microsoft Incorporation. Okay, but Linux is open source. You see the power of open source here. People around the world comes and develop. Okay, now there are like that open source softwares also. Throughout this course, we'll be using mostly open source softwares, and most of the softwares out there, which are the most popular ones, were released as open source, and then there are a lot of people who contributed to such project, like Jenkins, for example. Okay, the guy created Jenkins software, made it open source, and there are a lot of people around the world who contributed to it, and then it becomes better and better and better. Okay, so one thing you have to keep in mind: open source softwares or open source operating system means tons of features. Okay, lots and lots of features, right? Now there are some Linux, or you can say these are Unix principle also. In Unix, in any Nix operating system, everything is considered as a file. Even your keyboard, your mouse, your hard disk, like you can literally see that file, keyboard file, or your hard disk file or your mouse file in your operating system. We'll see that. Linux believes in, Linux principle believes in creating small programs. Okay, we don't make bulky huge software. Okay, uh, small softwares, and small softwares are combined together, chained together to create a bigger application. Okay, so we have ability to chain programs together. One programs connect to the other one connects to the other, and you get a big application. Okay, these same principles are applied in so many places, like DevOps, for example. Now we have a lot of softwares. I have shown you DevOps lifecycle, and there are so many softwares which connects together, which work together as a complete DevOps lifecycle. Okay. Now, fourth point, and we're going to revisit these points. Okay, these are not just to show you; these are the principle that you are going to follow. We avoid a captive user interface. What that means? Well, for that, let me ask you a question. How do you install software in Windows?
as the administrator.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the process. Double click to the GUI. Yeah.
So GUI.
Okay. Yeah, and then it opens up. Then what? Yeah, I know it's really dumb to say that, right? We click next, then we click next, then we click next. We go on, and then we say finish, done, right? So if you fire up the executable, it will capture your interface. You have to click somewhere, you have to type somewhere, and you have to enter all these values. Then only the installation will complete. You want to change a setting. Let's say you want to change some settings in your Chrome browser, or some MS Office software or any software for that matter. Okay, so you have to go to settings, you open a tab, then you go to advanced, here, there. So it captures your interface. There has to be someone who has to enter all those values. In Linux, we avoid such things. Okay, even our scripts, even our DevOps lifecycle is like that. Okay, we click a button and everything just completes. Okay, it starts, take all the necessary steps and completes. So people will ask, okay, then how does it decide what value to take? So most of the time we give these values in text files, and the program will read that text file, take all those values and implement it while for the installation or for any other purpose. Okay, so we avoid captive user interface. We don't want people to be entering values. We don't want a human being to be connected to that software all the time. Okay, keep that in mind. This is very important in programming languages, in scripting, also in other tools. Also, you will always have an option to take input from the user. Okay, but we avoid that because we have to chain multiple programs together. When we chain multiple programs together, one program triggers the another program, and there won't be anyone. It will be running in the backgrounds, so there won't be anyone to enter those values. So we better give all those values before we fire up the program. Okay, also configuration data are stored in the text file. I want to change configuration of some service, some software. I go open a text file, I change the values. I don't need to open the GUI. Okay, now that makes sense, right? Why Linux is most of the time we go for the command line. It's faster that way. It's not complex, it's faster that way. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, why Linux? People ask me, why you are only showing us, Linux operating system in DevOps. We don't use Windows or what? Yeah, of course we use Windows. Okay, we don't like. It's not like we hate Windows or something. Okay, but there are so many reasons why we use Linux. The first primary reason I'll tell you, that most of the servers that are there, which we are going to automate, operate, okay, and maintain, are going to be Linux servers. I've shown you vProfile application architecture. They're all the services. All of them runs on Linux operating system. Okay, well, Linux is open source, and there's huge community support. If there is some problem with Linux, we are doing something, we don't need to go to the vendor directly. Okay, there are so many forums and all. We get a lot of support. We can customize it, okay, heavily. We can change it as per our need. When we chain multiple programs together, we'll need all those things. And also, most of the DevOps tools implemented only on Linux. For example, Ansible can be installed only on Linux. Puppet server, Chef server, okay, these runs only on Linux, but we can automate Windows operating system also. Okay, Linux is way ahead or light years ahead in automation compared to Windows. Okay, and then there are so many debatable topic. The main reason is we don't have a choice. Okay, there are a lot of Linux systems out there, and we have to maintain them. All right, that's one reason. Nobody's against Windows. Okay, we can automate Windows based operating system also, and I'll show you some options there in the course. A little architecture of Linux. At the heart, you will have the hardware. So, not at the heart. Actually, is the hardware, right? The CPU, the RAM, and also note one more point. We also call hardware as compute resource. Okay, compute resource. We'll use this word and you'll hear this word a lot. This compute resource is managed by kernel. Kernel is heart of every operating system. Okay, so kernel is the software that operates the hardware, that operates the system. Okay, that's why it's also called as operating system. It operates the system, and we send the signal to the kernel through shell. Okay, that black shell, right, command line interface. And then there are so many utilities built around it. Okay, softwares like GUI based softwares like browsers and PDF reader and all those things. Okay, commands, lot of commands. Right, so this is the architecture of Linux. Okay, just give me a moment. I'm back. Sorry, having a little sore throat. Okay, so let's now get into action. We'll see some important directories in Linux. So I have my two VMs up and running here, CentOS and Ubuntu. Let's log into CentOS, Vagrant SSH. Okay, so let's understand the prompt here first. This is called as the prompt. This will be the username. Okay, so Vagrant is the username. Whenever we create a VM with Vagrant, it creates the user Vagrant, and this is going to be the system's name or host name. So it's just localhost. This tilde is a symbol of home directory. Okay, home directory. Now I'll show you command pwd present working directory. This will show you where you are located. Okay, it's very important for you to know where you are located. Like when I open a file explorer in Windows, I can see where I am, but here you really can't see. If you don't know symbols and all, okay, you will never know where you are. So it's very important for you to know where you are in the system. So find that out. /home/vagrant. This is the home directory for Vagrant user. Every user will have a home directory. Okay, normal user home directory will be in /home. Okay, if I do sudo-i, it's a command that I'll explain you later. This will make me root user. You can see in the prompt root. And there's also one more way to find out what user you are. Just type the command who am I, root, present working directory, /root. /root is the home directory of root user. Whenever user log in, the user lands up into its home directory. Keep that in mind, and that's the symbol tilde. Tilde you can also see just below the escape button. You'll see that approximate symbol, that's called as tilde. Clear is a command that's going to clear the screen, clearing the board like that. So root user home directory is /root, and normal user home directory will be /home and username. Now, user executable, we are entering some commands, right? We have entered like pwd. There's also ls command. Okay, all these are binaries. Normal user binary can be used by any user. So which pwd, which is a command, you give any command and it will show you. Just a moment. So you pass any command to which and it will tell you where it is located. You see /bin, like that, which ls. Okay, again it's an alias, but /bin/ls. So cd is a command that can change directory, go into different directory. /bin. So I'm into bin directory now. You see there will be a lot of files here. Okay, these are binary files. These are actually commands, and we'll use a lot of commands like rm will remove files, vi text editor, rpm command to install softwares, hostname command that will show you the host name. Okay, so bin directory will have binary files like that. There is also user bin directory that will also have some binaries. Okay, so bin /user/bin And there's one more /usr/local/bin. Now this will be initially empty, but if you create your own scripts that acts like a command, so you can put your script into this directory, and then you can call your script from anywhere. You just need to type the name of the script and it will get executed just like a binary. Okay. Now these are normal commands executable by any user, but there are system executable command also. /sbin. S stands for system. These are the commands that is used to manage your system. Okay. If up, this command will bring up the network interface. If down, this will bring down the network interface. Okay. And there are a lot of commands. mkfs to format, fsck to check the file system. Okay, a lot of commands. lvm to set up lvms. Right. So these are system executable commands. Again, you have usr sbin. Right. Then you must be wondering why I'm showing you directory different paths. Okay, there are like hundreds and thousands of directories in the Linux system. Okay, so see, this is not Windows. In Windows you don't even care. You just have like desktop shortcut, you open it up. But when you're talking about Linux, we customize it a lot. We use this directory. More specifically, you should know what contains, what softwares are available in what kind of directories. Okay, it's important to know. You'll understand that in scripting and all. As of now, remember those paths. And then you have usr local sbin. Just say usr local. You'll have here bin. You'll have here sbin. You can put your own customized scripts over there, which can be called from anywhere. Okay. Then you connect. You put CD-ROMs or put CD or USB drive. Okay, such kind of things gets mounted. Mounting is a process that I'll explain you later. So such kind of devices will be available in /media or /mnt. Okay, /etc. This is a directory which will contain all the configurations. But etc is not etc. Okay, this is one of the most important directory for us. We'll be making a lot of changes to the configuration of different softwares. Right, explained you a point just now. All the configuration are stored in text files. Like, take example of this motd file. This is called as a banner file. Whenever you log into the system, okay, it will print all the messages from this file. Networks configuration file, okay, ntp configuration file. You'll have directories also here that will have more configurations. Okay. What else? Something that should make sense for now. Anyways, we'll see a lot of configuration files. Host files or host name. Where's the host name? Host.allow, host.deny. So a lot of configuration files are here. Okay, we'll be working a lot in this directory. Okay, configuration changes. /temp, temporary directory. You'll see me using this directory a lot of times, but as of now you avoid using this directory. Whatever data you put in this directory will be lost. I mean, like, there is no guarantee it will be there. Okay, it may get lost when you reboot the system if the size is too full. Okay, it's a temporary place. Operating something temporarily, you want to put some data over there, operate it, and then you don't care whether it goes off or not. Okay, such data you put in /temp. Kernel and bootloader. We're talking about kernel is the heart of the Linux operating system. We can see the kernel. I'll show you the kernel. If you type cd and hit enter, you will go to the home directory of the user, what a user you are. Okay, when you go to the home directory, here in the prompt you can see tilde. Okay, /boot. This has all the booting files required. Okay, when the Linux operating system boots, there is an initRD image file. This is the booting file which boots the Linux operating system. It loads the kernel. That's your kernel, VM Linux. Okay, this gets loaded into the memory, and then the kernel, once loaded, takes all the control of hardware and softwares and everything. All the signal is passed to the kernel. Okay. uh, du-sh, this command will show you the size of any file. If I say vm linus and it's really a very long thing to type, I'll just hit tab to complete it. 4.2 MB. Your actual operating system size is that much. Imagine that. Okay. And all the others are utilities. Okay, are different softwares. Shell is also software. Okay. Server data. Will be also operating in this directory a lot. We are going to manage a lot of servers in this course, and in your career also you'll be managing a lot of server, like DevOps based servers. For Jenkins is a server, Puppet server. You have a lot of different kinds of server. Even the web server, application server like Tomcat, Apache, MySQL. They store some data. All that data will be by default going into /var /srv directory, mostly /var. Okay, this will have the server data. Server means the services that runs on our system. Okay, like MySQL is a database service. It stores the data. It's going to be storing in var directory /var. Okay, we'll use this one also a lot. Then you have system information directory where like /proc. I'll show you one example. Okay, cat command will read the content of a file /proc/cpu info. This file will have the information about the CPU. Okay, what CPU model name, how many cores. Now we are in the virtual machine. It's a virtual machine. It's a virtual CPU actually. Okay, but the file remains the same. This file can get updated frequently whenever the things changes. We are going to run a lot of command, and let's be a lot of information that will be fetched from this directory. Also /sys. Then you have library files which we hardly do anything with it. Okay, uh, there will be a lot of libraries required by the software: C libraries, Java libraries, Python libraries. This will be located in /lib or usr-lib, or you can put your own custom libraries here. Okay, these are some important directories, and I'm going to ask you tomorrow what directory contains what. You better by heart that if you want. You know what, I don't use that word. Okay, I always say the other way, don't by heart, but as of now, yes, you should be by hearting this. Okay, everyone clear on this? Any questions? Hello there. Okay, no as in no questions, I hope. It's on? Yeah, okay. Okay, you can ask me question, all right? Anytime you can stop me and ask me questions. The first 2 weeks I told you are going to be very crucial. You better understand everything. This is your ground zero. You understand your base. Okay, Linux systems, virtualization, network, all these concepts. All right. People fail in DevOps is because their base is poor. They don't understand the Linux system. They don't understand the virtualization. They don't understand the network, and they just directly jump to cloud computing and Ansible and all those things. Uh, those things will be very complicated if you don't know your basics. If your basics are good, these tools doesn't matter. Even if they change, you will be able to do it. Okay, you will be able to learn it by yourself also if your base is strong. Okay, I've designed this course in a way that it first builds up your base, and based on your base we create all the DevOps life cycle. Agree? Man, this is a very silent
Yes.
batch. Yes. Oh, VJ, like DJ or RJ. I like such names. Now I had a colleague actually. His name was actually DJ. His real name was actually Dinesh Jogin. People used to call him DJ, like that VJ. Anyways, okay. So there are a lot of Linux operating system I have seen. Yeah, VJ is laughing. So I've shown you right in the wiki the list of Linux operating system. There are tons out there. Okay, but then which one should I choose, right? And anyways, which one do you choose? That will be decision when you become an architect. Okay, but you would like to know that which Linux may come on my way when I'm doing DevOps. Okay, there could be many Linux operating systems, right? So first of all, I'm showing you about the desktop and server. Okay, there'll be desktop based Linux operating system and there'll be server based Linux operating system. In desktop based, the most popular name we have is Ubuntu Linux. Okay, like instead of Windows operating system on your laptop or on your computer, you can use these operating system. These operating systems are designed to be user friendly, and yes, they are user friendly. Okay, you don't need to laugh. Right, and they're good. Okay, sometimes far more better than Windows. Now they don't hang, don't catch up virus so easily. uh, and yes, there are virus of Linux also. All right, but the market is very small. So, when you use an Ubuntu Linux, you won't catch the cold, you won't catch the virus very easily because nobody's going to target you. I use Ubuntu as my desktop operating system. I have used elementary Linux, that is also like Mac OS, beautiful one. Kubuntu was my favorite one. It's a beautiful graphical user interface, but it sucks up your RAM. It's more beautiful than Windows, or sometimes even better than Mac OS. No, I'm not kidding, okay? The support is not that good, but it's beautiful. Kubuntu. You should try that. Your Fedora, Debian, OpenSUSE, these are desktop-based Linux operating system. You can have both the operating system on your laptop. I recommend that. Okay, and you can have dual boot. You can have Linux and Windows both on your operating system. Unfortunately, I can't show you that because for that I need to boot my computer and all. Okay, but I can send you documents and all later. Okay, once you're good with Linux operating system, do a dual boot and use a Linux based desktop operating system. Okay, your choice. You can start with Ubuntu. It's very user friendly, really. I use Windows for the classes and to play games, really. And also MS Office, unbeatable. Okay, now some popular server Linux operating system. You have the most, I would say, the best server Linux operating system in the world is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Seriously, it's the most robust and stable Linux operating system out there. Okay, it competes with directly with Unix stability. Okay, the world's fastest supercomputer runs on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Yeah, you see that? So that's how stable it could be. And it also depends on the system admin as well. Then you have Ubuntu server also. We'll use Ubuntu also a lot, Ubuntu server also a lot, because anyways, I'll tell you why later. Then you have CentOS, another popular name. It's also from Red Hat. Then SUSE Enterprise Linux. These are some popular Linux server based. Okay, what is the difference between desktop based and server based? Desktop based is designed to be more user friendly. Server based are designed to be more robust, stable, and secure. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, so which one we use? Well, now we're going to talk about mostly server based only. So you'll be seeing these three names a lot: Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is from Red Hat; CentOS, which is also from Red Hat; and Ubuntu Server. Well, RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, is from Red Hat and it's a licensed operating system. You get all the support and all the software comes directly from Red Hat. You don't download and install any open source software from anywhere else. You have to download software only from Red Hat. Those softwares will be well tested. Now, Red Hat has also CentOS, which is similar to RHEL. The difference between this is CentOS is complete open source Linux operating system. Okay, it will be almost same. These are almost same. Okay, except some commands all same, but this is completely customizable open source. You can download software from anywhere you want. It will have its own repository, software repository. Okay, then Ubuntu server has picked up a lot. I guess it's because of the automation and because of the DevOps. And there could be so many reasons, but Ubuntu is a Debian based. Okay, Debian based. You'll understand the difference. Ubuntu server repository is, you can see get the latest and greatest software from Ubuntu, the latest one. So this is how it works. You use smartphone. I guess everyone will use smartphone, right? Some people will use Android based. Some people will use iPhone. What's the difference? No, apart from the cost. I know iPhones are very expensive, crazily expensive. The new iPhone XS, my friend was showing, it was like 80,000 something. Like crazy. Okay, but people pay for that much, right? Yeah, I know they do it for style, of course. Yeah, that's one reason. But everything in iPhone is controlled by Apple. Its software is given by Apple. Okay, its hardware is given by Apple. All right. So they focus more on the stability, the performance, like someone just put there. Okay, performance, the stability is designed for more stable. Of course, it's very user friendly also. But you see, it's not too much customizable. Whereas Android, if there are some people who hack into the systems and all, you must do root to the Android, and you can do so much of customization in Android. Okay, same difference is there with Red Hat based softwares, Red Hat based operating system, and Debian based. Okay, especially Ubuntu will give you the latest and latest softwares. Same like Android, you get latest softwares, right? But Apple will release its software very late, or sometimes such apps won't be available in iPhone like what you have in Android. You have lots and lots of apps in Android. Okay, so Ubuntu has lots and lots of softwares and get latest one, whereas from RHEL it will be well tested. It takes time to release. Some software doesn't even come in RHEL if they don't approve it. Okay, so that's the difference, and based on that we choose it. Okay, we want sometimes stability, sometimes we want the latest software. Okay, so architects will be dangling in between this. All right, so Red Hat based, RPM based, or Debian based. These are two families we will be using. Red Hat family, Debian family. Red Hat family, again, it's not going to be a decision to make, but Red Hat family will focus more on stability and security. Debian family more on usability and latest softwares, right? Collection of software. When Linus Torvald released the Linux kernel, there are so many communities and organizations who use that kernel and develop their own operating system. Similar, Debian took the kernel and created their own operating system, and they used the packaging method, which they named as Debian. Okay, all the software in Debian based operating system will be ending with .deb, D-E-B. Okay, like in Windows, software extensions will be .exe or .msi. In all the Debian one, it will be based on .deb. Okay, that's the major difference. Then all the other difference comes from that. So like if you want to install Google Chrome, probably the software name will be something like this .deb, and you will be using this command dpkg-i and the software name to install in any Debian based operating system. Okay, Ubuntu is one example. All right, packaging difference, software packaging. Then Red Hat based or RPM based. If say Google Chrome you want to install, its extension is going to be .rpm. The commands will be also different, rpm-ivh, and then give the software name. Software installation I'll tell you in detail later, but I wanted to just show you the differences. Okay, and all the other difference come after this. The package name will be different, the software names may be different for the same software. The installation process, removal process, configuration, file names, these will be different. Okay, most of the places they'll be same. Okay, but there will be differences, and I will be teaching you both the operating system parallelly. All right, parallelly. There are some great Linux system administrator who worked only on Red Hat based system. When they come to Ubuntu, they face a lot of difficulties. Okay, some people ask me this question, some of the trainers, some of very technical people, that why do you use this multiple operating system? Just take CentOS or Red Hat, any operating system, and use that in the entire course, right? You'll have less confusion. Like the students will have less confusion. And I'll say, but what happens if they get into the real world and then they see Ubuntu server, which will be a definite case? What will happen then? Okay, because there are so many software that we'll see will work better on Ubuntu server. You get that package on Ubuntu server, get the latest one on Ubuntu, for example, Jenkins and all, right? So in that cases, you'll have problem, and then probably that time you'll curse me. I want you to bless me, all right, later. So you'll be learning both the operating system, okay? It's not just I wanted to include, it's very important, okay? Because you go to documentations and all, you'll see that, all right? So that was a lot of theory about Linux, but it has to be covered. Go through this one. I hope everyone has this PDF. It came into the starter guide, starter kit, Linux Quick Start. So this document I created, this book I created, so you can easily get started with Linux, okay? Jumpstart. This is not everything, okay? But this has to be the minimum of Linux that you would know. But this is not all the Linux that we are going to learn. This is just the beginning, okay? There'll be lots and lots of Linux learning till the end of the course, okay? All right, so now let's get into action, okay? Exit, and I log out from root user. You see, now I am Vagrant user. So let's see. So you know now PWD, okay? Who am I? All right, ls, right? You can say this is the GPS locator for you. You should know where you are, who you are, and what is the content there in that directory, okay? Now once you understand that, I'm going to create a directory here called as Linux-practices ls. So mkdir command will create a directory, and yes, we call directory and not folder. Cd, get into that directory Linux practices. Pwd, so that's my current location now, okay? And let me create more directories here. Let's name it as one as Jenkins, one as Ansible, one as just Devops. So you can create multiple directories like that with mkdir. Give the multiple names. I'm muting you. Questions? Okay. There's one command touch that will create empty file. Empty file. Okay. Touch. I'll just give file1.txt. Yeah. You know what? I can use a range also here. 2.9. Remember maths, that parenthesis and there is a multiplication. It works like this, okay? It's going to be file 2, file 3, file 4, file 5, file 6 till file 9. So this is the range. You see, that many files got created, okay? That's range. It's too early in the game to tell you, but it's fun when you do these experiments. So I have here like 9 files and 3 directories, okay? Now let's see copy. There are so many files here, there's so many junk. I'll create one directory here and name it as backup, and I'll copy these files, or let's say first file I'll copy cp file1.txt. cp, you give the source, the file that you want to copy, and the destination. Backup, ls backup, or I can go to the backup directory and I can do ls. The file is copied there, okay? cd dot dot. cd dot dot is going to take me one level up. So like Now I am in this directory, backup directory. If I do cd dot dot, I will come to Linux practices. Okay, one level up. All right, clear the screen. So that was about copying file to a directory. But when I do like this, let's copy another file. You can use up arrow and see the previous command. There's also one more way. You can run the history command and see all the previously executed commands. So it can store up to 500 commands, or I believe now 1000, all the previous command that you executed. Okay, it's good for tracking. So if I say cp, I want to copy file 2.txt into backup. I want to copy with a different name. So no, in the destination I can give a different name also to that file. Let's say new file 2.txt. Let's back up. See that file is copied with a different name. Okay, or I can just when we're taking backup of any file before we're making any changes. Okay, let's say I want to make some changes into file 4.txt. So before I do that, I'll take its backup. I'll say file 4 underscore txt underscore backup. That will copy the file with a different name, and then you can operate on the original file. If something goes wrong, I can recover from the backup file. Okay, now let's move. Um, let's copy a directory. Copy directory Ansible to backup directory. When I do that, I will get an error. Omitting directory Ansible. Let's check whether anything copied. No. Ansible directory is not copied to backup directory because it's a directory, and to copy a directory you have to give an option -r. Okay, and let's back up, copy it. Just give me a moment. Okay, I'm back. Right. So this brings me to the Linux command syntax. So part of the command first is going to be the command, which is cp command. Okay, then you will have option or options. You can have multiple options. So -r is an option, and then you will have arguments. So source and the destination are the arguments. Now you have working now. What is working now? So you can have just the command, like ls is just a command. All right, you can have argument with the ls, like you say ls temp, which is going to show you the kernel of the temp directory. Okay, that's command and the argument. But with ls you have option also, like -l. -l is a option that will show you long listing. Okay, more information about the directory or the file. So cp you definitely need to give the argument, but some commands are just the command. You can pass the arguments also to them, and you can pass the options also to them, and there will be lots and lots of option. We have, I don't know, kept account, but there will be thousands of commands. and they'll have all the commands will have multiple options. Okay, it's not easy to by heart these things, and we don't by heart, frankly. If you want to know the options, then you have help, cp hyphen hyphen help. So hyphen hyphen help, this is a very popular option with most of the command, and it will show you how to use that command, what are the options available. So let's say you forgot, about the hyphen r option, you don't know how to copy a directory. So you do cp hyphen hyphen help, and it will print all that information. cp copy source to destination or multiple source to a directory. You can give multiple source also, and here there are so many options. Hyphen a archive, hyphen f force if it's asking you a question. There's already a file present and it will ask you a question. Okay, hyphen I for interactive, so it will prompt you before overwriting any file. And then you have capital R, hyphen small r, hyphen recursive. All these three options will do the same thing: copy directories recursively. Okay, these helps will be always available to you, so you don't need to by heart stuff. Some commands are just by hearted all the time when you type, right? Hyphen v, this option is in most of the commands verbose. It will just print all the things, that what's happening now, what it is doing. Okay, so let's copy all the file star.txt. Now star is a regular expression. Star means everything. When I say file star, that means any combination with the file. It could be file 1, file 22, file xyz at the end with .txt. And copy it to the destination. Let's copy it to again backup. And I will do hyphen I, hyphen v verbose. It's showing you, see, file 1.txt copied there, file 2, this is hyphen v. With hyphen v option you can print all that information, what's happening. Okay, sometimes it will be very useful to record logs. I'll show you that later. Okay, clear. So that was about cp copying files. You can also move files. I want to move all this file star dot txt to Jenkins. Yeah, all the files are moved except that one, because that has a different extension underscore backup. Okay, if I want to move a directory also, I can move the directory. Like I want to move Ansible to Jenkins. With move you don't need to give any option. Okay, you can move it directly. Move command is also used to rename the file. Okay, move command is used to move the files, also rename the files. And when I say file, people, file is everything is file in Linux. Okay, so directory is also a file. mv, and I want to change the name of backup directory to latest underscore backup. You see, renamed. Like that you can rename any file with mv command. Okay, we have seen all that command cp and mv. Okay, and we are passing arguments. We are already in Linux practices directory and we are operating on these files. But let's say we are somewhere else. Let's say we're in temp directory, and now I want to move this file to that directory. Okay, now this files and directory is present in this directory, and I am in temp directory, so I can't give here file 4 .txt underscore backup, because I'm not present here. Sorry, that file is not present here. See, no such file or directory. Here the content is different. In such cases, I will use absolute path. Absolute path begins with root directory. Okay, / home vagrant Linux practices file 4.txt underscore backup. Then I want to move it to latest backup directory. Okay, that is also present in here. So now the destination slash home slash vagrant Linux practices latest backup. I'll move, okay, mv move. Right, I want to know whether it worked or not. So ls slash home vagrant Linux practices, it's not there, should be there in latest backup directory. There you go. Let me run the history command now. So when we're doing these operations here, we were present in that directory where Ansible and Jenkins directory were there. Okay, we're present where these files are available. Okay, so we're doing mv and we are giving relative path. Okay, these are relative paths. This is absolute path. Absolute path will always begin with /. Okay, root directory. cd /. This is called as the root directory. It's not just a symbol. Okay, root directory. If you do ls here, this is the top level directory. Everything in Linux comes under this. All right, you see home directory there, etc directory there, bin. Now I can say this is your entire Linux operating system with all the data. If you have partitions, different drives and all, everything will come under this. This is your entire Linux operating system. Okay, nice, right? ls-a. -a is an option which will show you hidden files also. That's a hidden file. Hidden file always starts with a dot. Okay, you can't see them just like that. You have to give ls-a, all the files. It will show all the files including dot. Okay, now there's a lot of confusion between absolute path and relative path. If you have not understanding it, let me know. I'm going to run through it again. Okay, so absolute path, uh, to be as a good practice. Now if you're new to Linux and all, or if you're not good in Linux, use absolute path all the time, at least in the beginning of the course. Okay, when we're learning this Linux quick start, use absolute path. Okay, that way you will know which files are located where. It's important for that. Okay, relative path is for convenience. All right, you're already located there, so the difference will be like this. So I'm located at a place. Okay, like let's say I'm in the Visual Path Institute, okay, which is in Amirpet Aditya Enclave building. Okay, I just told you, okay, and Aditya Enclave, floor number so and so, room number so and so, cabin number here. Okay, I'd be sitting there, right? Or let's say I'm taking a class over there in a room number 3. If you're already in Amirpet and you called up the front desk and asking where is your building, they'll not tell you it's in uh, India, Hyderabad, Amirpet, Aditya Enclave, floor number so and so, room number so and so. They will just tell you you're already in Amirpet, so they'll just tell you come to this building, Aditya Enclave, and in this floor on this room, this is the room number. So that's a relative path. Okay, but let's say I'm sending a letter or something, I need to give the complete address where you're located on the planet, right? So I may include the country name also there. Okay, country name, state name, district, city, area, right? All that complete information. So absolute path is like a complete address, complete location of a file. Can be anywhere in the system, but absolute path can be used to operate on the files. Okay, from anywhere. Relative path, if you're already located there, if you're already in Amirpet, I'll just tell you come to Aditya Enclave. But if you are like in a different country, I'll tell you when you come to India, come to Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, you have Amirpet, then you have Aditya Enclave building, like that. Got the point? That's the example of absolute path. Okay, and as a good practice, everyone start using absolute path. When you're doing CP, MV, RM, use absolute path. Okay, relative path is for convenience. You're already there, so you operate on those files. Any question in this one? Clear? Okay, I'll tell you something very serious. I have seen people who lost their jobs because they have no clue about absolute path and relative path. It's that serious. It's dead serious. And I'm no kidding. Okay, it happened in front of me. All right, people are not careful where they are located. You know, what is the first command that I told you? pwd, know where you are. Linux practices. What's that? Oops. Latest backup. Okay, now I'll show you one thing. But first, let me show you how to remove the files. rm is the command to remove the file. file2.txt. File is removed. Okay, it's gone. If I want to remove a directory, I have to give -r option. Oops, Ansible. Gone. Okay, so that's the command. But you can use regular expression also, like if you want to do remove everything, rf star, and this will wipe out everything in the current working directory. Okay, you know where you are. Be careful. Okay, let's say you are in a db directory where there is db files. Okay, but you really don't care. Okay, and you have to delete something in a directory, in a different directory. Okay, and you have given a path, and thinking that you're removing everything in the temp directory, you have deleted everything in the current working directory. Okay, what happened here? I did cdtemp. Okay, but people are so much addicted to captive user interface, next, 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 finish, done. They don't even read the errors. Given a wrong path, it's tmp, not temp. Okay, and just executed the command rm-rf star, deleted all the db data, system went down, boom. Okay, thousands of users not able to access the system. Okay, then you found out you deleted the db data, right? Always know where you are, know your absolute path. Okay, some people rm-rf will give some relative path name, right? Linux practices something something. Come on. Oh, yeah. But why I'm telling you to use absolute path in the beginning, so you know where you are located, where your files are located. Okay, again, one more very important thing before you remove anything, think it 100 times in production systems. Okay, don't be in a hurry when you're removing, deleting anything. Don't be in a hurry. Okay, think carefully. All right, do you have a backup? If something happens, can you recover it? Take its backup before you're deleting. If you don't want to take the backup, it's not required. Make sure you're deleting the right files in the right directory. Okay, take your time. All right, no matter who is pressing, all right, how much time is pressing. All right, take your time before you're removing or deleting anything, because in Linux, if you delete anything, there is no trash. Okay, there is no trash directory, where you can recover the files from recycle bin and all. We don't have. It's gone, it's gone. Okay, if it's not overwritten, probably you can recover it by using some recovery tools or some recovery methods or some people who recover the data. Okay, but that's going to be too much of pain and you won't be able to recover all the data. Okay, some people have wiped out companies' entire data by doing such kind of things. All right, what is that? Sorry to ask the question, what is vagrant? The term I'm hearing first time. Oh, yeah, it's your first day, right? So we create a virtual machine with Vagrant. Okay, last class I have explained what is Vagrant. Before that, I have created virtual machine manually, and with Vagrant I created it automatically. You can see the video previous class, and you can see how we can automatically set up VMs. Okay, it's just 2 commands you have to run and the VM comes up. Okay, hello Naresh. Yeah, okay. And you can talk, you people can talk. You're really very silent people. All right. All right. So so that was some lecture. Okay. um let's close it for today. Okay,
There
enough
is
for today.
one question by one of the attendees here. Says like, can we use RHEL7 on from a Vagrant box?
Oh, you can use anything, your choice, but for now, if you don't know Linux, then stick to what I'm showing you, because later we'll be using all the different operating system: RHEL 7, 6, CentOS 6, 7, Ubuntu 14, 15, 16, 18. Okay, so because there are differences. Okay, there are differences of commands also, which you will learn in this week. So I suggest you first go with you know whatever I'm using, and then later you can use any. I'm going to use CentOS 7 and RHEL 7 also later in this week itself. So you can wait, or if you want to experiment, you can experiment. No one's stopping you. All right, but throughout the course will be, I don't know, never counted, but 5 6 different flavors of Linux we'll be using.
So
Okay.
this week is full of Linux basically.
Yes, this week, as in it's what, Wednesday, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, Saturday probably we'll set up our project, vProfile project on our Linux machines once we are through with all our Linux.
Okay.
Okay, any other question, people? Your VM with VirtualBox, not VMbox, VirtualBox, manually when you created the VM, and then you reboot it next time, it will show you the installation. That is because there will be an ISO file attached. So you go to the settings of the VM, go to the storage and check whether the ISO is attached. There will be an ISO attached. So like, where is? Okay, so let's say the ISO is attached. So whenever I boot, okay, can you please mute? There's too much background noise. So whenever you boot, thank you. So whenever you boot, it will boot with this ISO. So you better remove the disk from virtual drive. Click here and then power on. So then it will boot with the hard disk of this VM and not the ISO. Okay. Yes.